Hello, welcome to another edition of Thrive After Divorce, where we give you the tools to not just survive divorce, but thrive during, after, and create the life that you deserve. Today, our guest, we have Maria Conde. Welcome, Maria.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. And you, I love how you say you're a corporate escapee.
Yeah.
Who, after 30 years of leadership career and you're a CPA, you went on to become a rapid transformational therapy practitioner and certified coach. And you help purpose-driven women entrepreneurs let go of their limiting beliefs and rewire their brain for success and wealth so they can have more clients, more money, and more freedom.
Yeah.
But if we look at that, as everyone listening, the idea of letting go of limiting beliefs, rewire your brain for success, that is what we need to do as we're transitioning into a life after divorce.
Absolutely. That's all that inner work that we have to do that, often we don't do in our married life, right? We just kind of carry on but once you get divorced, and it's a great opportunity to reinvent yourself and get to know yourself in a different way.
Yes. Well, I thought you would be a marvelous expert to bring in because so many women in divorce are struggling with the idea of, and they might not know it, but their idea of their own inner leadership.
Yes.
They're in, the captain seat of their own success and power, and they may be in a place that they either have to go reinvent a career.
Yeah.
They need a little bit more financial security, so they may need to go for that promotion.
Yeah.
Or
start something on their own.
Yeah, or start a business on their own. And so it all kind of ties together how we feel in our personal life, professional life, and having courage and confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. And I've been divorced twice myself. So I've been through that process of it all and the reinvention. And once when I was younger, so it wasn't it was a big deal. I mean, divorce is a big deal no matter what. But when you're in your 20s, it's different when, because I was in my 40s when I did it the second time. But there is that recreation of yourself and when it can often feel like a little bit of a failure when you end a marriage too, right? Like wasn't successful. So that I think takes you a little bit, your confidence back a little bit too, as a person. And it takes a little bit to get going again. But it's a really great opportunity to set a new path for yourself. You can do anything. And I'm a firm believer in creating that extraordinary life, doing whatever you want. And it's, it can get a little bit challenging because when you're not confident or you're feeling like, okay, I got to make everything work all of a sudden, and then you're in a whole new territory, you can get a little bit of a lack mindset, or you can get just the anxiety that goes with it, to have to do everything on your own if you've never had to do that before. So there's a whole bunch of layers that come together that you have to work through to get there.
And I haven't met anyone who comes out of a divorce just super confident.
No,
not too much.
Almost everybody back a notch or two, right?
It does. And so, and especially most of the people that I work with, are 40s to 60s.
Yeah.
That alone can, entering those age brackets or numbers can kind of shake your confidence.
It does. It does two things though too. I'll let you finish though.
No, first. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, because I work with that sort of same demographic and age, 40 to 65, even higher.
Yeah.
But as a woman, we go through sort of our own evolution of our own being. And while I don't work directly with people with divorce all the time, I work with people in that space that are, okay, this is a chance. I want to do something different. I want to do something that matters more. And so, if you mix that in with a divorce in there too, which a couple of my clients have gone through right now, you got a whole bunch of layers, but they see that, oh, I could do sort of whatever I want. But there is a lot of building confidence in that process, because often you're doing something you've never done before. And as soon as you do that, it's unfamiliar territory, self-sabotaging behaviors kick in because the brain doesn't like that when you're doing something new, you know, and then it's not everyone's brave enough to just say, I want to do this. It might be scary, but I want to do it anyways, because some people might not have the courage to even step forward into something and settle. And then we talked about that earlier, to just settle into something that might not be their ideal.
No, and then you're either going to live with regret, or you don't make fear-based decisions.
Yeah.
So for somebody sitting there like, I don't even know where to start. Like, I need a job, I need to change my career, but I don't have the confidence to do it. Do you start externally and go find the job, or would you say start internally and find the confidence?
Well, there's two sides. If you need to have money right away, I say get a job, because you
And
need to
just maybe
relieve
a
some of the
job.
stress, right? You do what you can, but then don't just settle at that point. You need to keep moving forward on doing the inner work, finding what's going to bring you passion and purpose, and really feel good, and then start making progress towards that. And you know, a lot of people, especially nowadays, we have a lot of people that just quit their jobs. You know, we've heard tons of that on the news.
Right.
But you know, depending on what sort of financial situation, it can be good or bad, right? But that can cause you a lot more stress, which makes some people can work through that and be quite resilient, but a lot of people can't. So it's knowing your own self, listening to your intuition, but taking the time to do the work on yourself. You know, you're going to be, we know that when you do something that you're very passionate about, is very purpose driven, it actually affects your health, because you're happier and you're going to have better health overall. My coaching career started out in health coaching like 15 years ago. And that's how I got into the coaching world, was from health coaching and nutrition. But when you're doing something that you love, it does have an overall effect on your well-being.
Yeah. And it usually doesn't feel like work.
No, it doesn't. Not at all.
That's, I think, a sign that when you really enjoy, if it doesn't feel like work, you don't dread it, that's a sign that you found.
Yeah. You never get out of bed going, oh my God, I can't believe I got to do this today.
No.
Yeah. I left the corporate world 3 years ago, and I've never had that moment of, oh, this is going to be brutal. Never. Not that I had a lot of in the corporate world. And, you know, I was fortunate to retire out at the top of my game, and consciously, like, I made a very strategic plan to leave how I did. So I was very fortunate that way. And I did so as a single mother, and took that leap out of corporate and built what I wanted in my life. I built 2 companies, actually. And when I say single mom, I mean true single mom. There was no dad involved at all. My daughter was conceived through a donor. So,
oh wow,
like, so true single mother, 24/7. Now there's no on the weekends, come get her.
Okay,
I need to get something done, right?
Yeah, I'm glad you meant, because that's lots of times people, not all, but single parents also have a lot of single time that they can invest in themselves.
Yeah, and
but
I had no living parents. It's just my daughter and I. So it hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been, you know, I look back at it and it's not like, oh my God, that was brutal. I never have those moments. It was like, it's just part of my past. But I'm also a very resilient person as a human being. That's just me and my makeup. And I recognize that not everybody is like that, though.
Is that when you say it's in your makeup, do you think that's like literally in your DNA makeup, or is that in your environment and the choices that you've made along the way?
I think a bit of both. And I've done some research on that. And I don't remember, there was something to do with the genes, and I did look at something. There was, because like 23andMe and all those things that do all your genetics, they did have a report one day, and I actually looked it up on myself because I couldn't remember if they actually tested that on me or not. But I found it very fascinating. But there is a gene in there that is, like, it's a genetic thing to a certain degree. But for me, you know, I had lots of life events that made me quite resilient.
Okay.
So from a very young age, and that brought me to where I am today.
Okay.
So,
And it's also, but the choices you made even at a young age, how to handle it. Because
yes.
that's, a lot puts a lot of people on the wrong path.
Yeah. And I'm very
Because
grateful because I headed down a wrong path. And at some point in my teens, I said, this is wrong. I need to go this way. And I'm grateful for that moment, whatever that was.
Wherever it came from.
Yeah.
So I want to, if we can go back, you said you got out of the corporate world at the top of your game.
Yeah.
What if, for people listening that are like, that's the problem. People my age are getting out of the corporate world or getting out of their careers. How do I just start it?
Get in. Yeah.
Get in. That mindset of like, I'm too old to start, or I'm the fear of that.
Yeah, it depends on what you want to do. But, like I was saying to you earlier, I had one person in my world that became a nurse at like 50.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't easy. She had to go back to student loans and living on craft dinner kind of stuff, because it wasn't, there wasn't this a huge abundant world. She was putting everything in to go be a nurse. But it was a passion, it's something that you're really passionate about. It is not like it's a sacrifice,
Right.
because you see the outcome. And I think anybody can do anything at any age. My daughter is 15, wants to be a doctor, and she was talking about people, my age going in to be doctors. And I, would have been interesting if I would have went in to be a doctor. Well, you could be, Mom. And you see it once in a while where there's a mother-daughter graduating from med school or something like a law school.
Yeah.
It's not an easy path, but it's still doable. And we can do whatever we want, and we're worthy of having whatever we want.
And so as a rapid transformational practitioner,
Yeah,
therapy,
so
if someone comes to you and says they really want to hone in that word rapid, like,
so what that does, I'll explain what that is. It's RTT for short. It's a combination of hypnotherapy, NLP, neurosciences, a whole process we put our clients through, and it helps get rid of those limiting beliefs. It instills more confidence in you, and we do that rewiring for whatever it is that you're working on, because it's very tailored to you. It's, I work with people on visibility issues where, if they want to go into the online world, for instance, or be a public speaker, they're terrified to do it. And sometimes just visibility, because if you've been at home for 20 or 30 years and now you have to go outside, I work with people at all ages. I have law students that, helping them have the confidence to be able to speak in front of a courtroom. And yeah, but that could be any age. It doesn't matter if they're 20 or 60. It doesn't matter, right?
Right.
It's just, that's the process, and helping them with that. And also the wealth management side, or wealth mindset side. Being a CPA, I was a money coach also, so that money side was sort of natural for me to go into, being a CPA. Go ahead.
Well, but it's still work. There's even with what you do, there's no magic sprinkle of fairy dust for rapid. It's someone has to be willing to put the effort into it.
To a certain degree, yes.
Okay.
When I coach somebody on confidence, it's a long haul, because you're doing piece by piece by piece, baby steps. And when we do coaching confidence, it's actually having them do things over and over and over to get the confidence. There's like, I don't have it in front of me, I'll always get it incorrect, but there's 4 different stages of confidence where you're starting out, you don't know anything, and it moves all the way through to being able to do things without even thinking about it. Think about when you're driving a car for the first time. You're terrified, you have no idea how to do it. And there's a whole bunch of conscious effort that's required to do it.
Right.
Now you get in your car, you don't think about it.
No.
You don't think, how do I drive, right? You just don't. And that's the confidence cycle that people have to go through for anything new that you do.
Yeah, a baby.
When you do the RTT, it's way faster. So that's what it means by rapid. So rapid is 2 cents in there. Rapid is a type of hypnotherapy that we do. It's more rapid induction, but it's also faster working because we go through a whole process. It's about a 2-hour session when we go through, hour and a half to 2 hours. that we do it. And it actually helps people come out the other side a little bit faster. And then we do 21 days of recording, which is fairly standard in hypnosis, but the process we go through unravels a lot more.
Okay. When, people hear hypnosis, like myself, I've heard it. I haven't had it done. You think of the movie where it's like,
quacking like ducks and all kinds of stuff, right?
But what really the power, hypnosis, you're not going to make somebody forget or do you, or what?
Not at all. Not at all. And, there's so much misconception about hypnosis. And even myself, I had never been hypnotized even when I went in for training. I knew it was very powerful, but it's like, okay, well, this is weird. I did my own self-hypnosis first because I want to experience this on my own. Because I just didn't know, right?
Right.
But it is, and most clients, when I work with them, they'll say, well, that was just not what I expected. It was so relaxing. Your conscious mind is still, because if I said, the fire alarm's going off in my building, we have to leave right now and finish our call, they would just come out and we deal with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if we have, because I do it all on Zoom, so if the connection loses, there's a mechanism. They said, yeah, you're right. Like after a few minutes, it's like, okay, she's not there anymore. Open your eyes and then figure it out from there. I give them a process, right? So it's more like just a good, deep meditation.
Okay.
Is what it feels like. But it's a certain zone we get into that actually just allows you to tap into the subconscious mind, which is holding on to the stuff that is holding you back. Our conscious mind thinks certain things and it thinks it knows what's wrong, but it's the subconscious mind that really holds it. And most people are surprised when we do it. They're like, I would have never thought that. And I don't remember all that, but it makes total sense. I was working with an executive fairly recently and on confidence and being able to speak in front of, higher power people. And she thought certain things, but when we went back, it was like, when she was 4 or 5, her uncle telling her like, you could have done better. And she was really excited about something. She did something really cool or whatever it was. I can't remember all the details, but there was 3 moments like that in her childhood that were very significant that she held on to, but she didn't even remember really. But when you listen to it, it's like, that makes total sense. Why you feel the way you do now and why you're afraid to step forward a little bit more.
Yeah, those those fears and beliefs really surface when we want something. And it's your own dialogue that you hear, like saying you can't do it, or they won't want you, or you're too old. It's that inner it's you stopping you.
And even if you do like some of the coaching work, that's our conscious mind can think it, but even the subconscious mind can sabotage it.
Mm-hmm.
So your conscious mind finally might get you to that interview to do that promotion. But if your subconscious mind is really not happy about that, it's going to sabotage it.
So what are some, like a first step to gaining your confidence that you may?
I look at that confidence sort of wheel, and it's really taking those first baby steps towards what you want. And really, you have to get to the there's always going to be uncomfortableness, no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's where growth happens, is in that uncomfortable zone, right?
Yeah.
And your mind has to get used to that, to know that it's okay. She's doing okay. Your mind's there to protect you, right? So it wants to keep you in comfort.
Yeah. And it's okay to fail. Most people we see successful had many, many, many fails.
Lots.
So,
and lots of no's. Like if you're a coach or you're going into that world of anything to do with sales, you're going to get no, like a lot, and you need to be okay with that.
Yeah. I always think that, like, say with the music world or actor world, like most of them took a lot of no's before they got a number 1 song or a number 1 book. And having that mindset. So do you think part of it is really getting honest with yourself and what you want?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
you have to know what you want. Yeah. And most people are afraid to go there though.
Yeah. But we can say what we want, thinking this is what society wants for me. This is what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. But that might not be the same as really getting honest with yourself and being okay. Like to even say, I don't care about money. I'm okay living in a trailer. even though my
Yeah.
family would see that as a failure, but I want that, to saying, I want money. I want lots of
Yeah.
money. And people are going to think
Yeah.
I'm greedy, but I want a lot. Like,
And I think it's okay. You know, in my world, I teach confidence, wealth, and empowerment, basically, is what it amounts to. And on the wealth side, I personally think all women should be financially independent, and not to the point of just being able to pay their rent or mortgage, but also to have lots of money, but from the point of view of serving the world in a bigger way. You know, my vision for myself is to be able to write checks for $20,000 whenever I want, to whatever charity I want, whenever I want.
that's awesome.
And that's what propels me to want lots of money. Yes, I want a nice home, but do I need to have the great big huge mansion where it's just my daughter and I, right? Like I can have a big nice house, or I can have beautiful belongings inside possibly. It's the things that matter most to you. And it's really, it's what matters most to you. For many, many years, having a really fancy car didn't matter to me. I love to travel.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have, X number of dollars in the bank. It's like a trip to Europe, or is that in a car? I think I'll do a lesser car and a trip to Europe, like
Right.
with the money I had at that moment. And that's sort of, we all have to make those decisions and be okay with it. But it's what you want. It's nobody else's business.
Yes.
Nobody else's business. And it's not a nice thing to say, but if you're dying tomorrow, are you going to worry, does it matter what you wanted or what somebody else wanted? When you look back at your life.
But that could be a hard place to come to if you've been with someone for 20 years, help programming your mind that
very true.
Their values are your values, or like,
you haven't had that self-independence of your sovereignty, I guess is the right word.
Or like, I'll share one that I carried through. My ex-husband was very big on never paying 1 cent of interest, on anything. Like, we could use credit cards, but they were paid off in full, and never, like, money was his passion, but in any debt was so negative that, so when I was out on my own and got a little debt, it like put me in panic attacks, and I had to realize, wait a minute, I'm okay with this little credit card debt. This is my reaction to him, who I am not with. Like, so we carry.
I have a money program called Be Wealthy. It used to be called Wealthy Women's Way years ago, but we do some of the energy work in there too. And it's constant layers you have to peel away. And I even work on it still myself, because when you hit plateaus and stuff like that, you got to work through stuff, the next layer, right? And last night I was doing another layer, and I was releasing my parents, because I carried all their money drama with me my whole life. And that's my parents' stuff, right? And of course I woke up today going, okay, what am I doing to my daughter? What have I put on her, right? So, but that's just how life, society, we take, that's what the beliefs are. They're not our beliefs. And you've just acquired these through our lives. And it could be, work, society, religion, sometimes cultures, all different spaces where we have to, throughout our life, we don't have to, but we end up taking on all these other people's beliefs. Right.
And that's what I mean. If you just start, you really have to get honest with you. Like, this matters to my church. It's not my belief. So I have a question. I don't know which coach in you I'm asking, because you have so many, so many titles, but I heard or read something two different ways. And I thought it's so true that when we say, I can't, I can't. And sometimes you really can't. Like, for a while, we couldn't go to a movie theater because they weren't open. Like, I can't.
That's true. I can't.
I can't. But many times, if we change the word I can't to I don't or I won't, and reassess the question, like,
then you're owning the decision for that.
And in like the one, it was from a fitness coach saying, change it from I can't to I don't. Like, instead of I can't have bread, I don't eat bread, so you don't feel deprived. But I also thought by switching it, it can empower your mindset.
Yeah, it does.
Like I don't instead of I can't. And then the one for I won't really tells you, no, you could, you're choosing
You're choosing. Yeah.
not to and saying I can't. So what do you think of that method to like kind of surface up your true?
I think
beliefs?
anytime well, language is so important because our brain only listens to the pictures we put in our mind and the words we speak. That's how it functions 100%. So and I catch myself even saying, I'll be talking to somebody, and I was doing a class this week, and there was something I said, and it's like, I said, talking about it being hard, You could talk about going through divorce or rebuilding your life after divorce is hard, but that's a mindset in itself. When you say the word hard, it doesn't have to be hard.
It could be lucky.
Challenges to it, and there could be lots of learning, there could be lots of growth, but it doesn't have to be hard, as in, because that's how we attach something to it as being.
And what people are telling us.
Yeah.
People are coming up to us reinforcing that belief, like,
that must
I'm
be so
sorry.
hard. Yeah.
Or it must be hard. How are you doing?
Yeah. And maybe being a single mom, I used to get that all the time. It's like, but I don't think of it as hard. The only time I found it beyond challenging is if I get sick. If I'm physically sick, I had to have a couple operations during that time, and I got to fly people in to look after my daughter, and it's not an easy path, right?
Right.
But it's a one point in time, and this is for anybody out there. It's just that too shall pass, as I always say, it's just a moment in time. And when you look at that, like the last operation I had, it was like 2 days that were not pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But after that, it was all fine. It's just part of the journey. Yeah. But we get caught up in the moment often. And there's this great meme out there that says, was that a bad 5 minutes, or did you take that 5 minutes into your entire day and make your day bad? Because you spilt your coffee this morning, so it's that 5-minute moment. Does it destroy your entire day? So if you lost 24 hours because you spilt your coffee, which is a 5-minute moment.
You're right. It's a 5-minute moment, but if you look at it and go, it's going to be one of those days.
Exactly.
And you turn it right there.
Yeah. And your mind looks for what you're telling it. So it's looking for a bad day, and it finds it.
Now, as a business coach, to totally flip the switch there, say there's someone that's like, I've always wanted to start my own business.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to do it, and they don't know how. Can you speak to what having a business coach would do for them, or how you help women in the entrepreneurial?
And I do work with people usually at that initial stages. I have a mini program that is about finding your purpose. So it's really leaning into, I always want people to do that first, because I really want them to build a business, not another job for themselves, because that can happen pretty easily, where you're just busy doing a job again, as opposed to what really fills you up. Mm-hmm. And I always see, as because the age demographic that I work with, this is your chance to do what you want, right? So get excited about it and do what you want. And especially if you've left a marriage, this is your time. And it's really important to do what fills you up. And so what I do with people is, once we know sort of a general direction, then we just start building out what type of lifestyle they want first, because that's really important. And lifestyle is huge, because if you're not setting up the right business based on if you want to be a digital nomad and you you get a franchise restaurant, well, that's not going to work, right?
You can't have a brick and mortar.
Yeah, be on the road, right? And so really leaning into those things, looking at what you've always been passionate about. And then, there's obviously some tactical things that have to happen. You have a little mini program and that, like making sure you have a business license and names and all those things and doing things. But the biggest thing is just to start taking action. Most people think about it a lot, but don't actually get into action. I see entrepreneurs out there working full-time, dabbling on that side hustle and doing that for years before they actually get serious about it. They talk about wanting to leave their 9 to 5, but they never take their side hustle serious. It's just a hobby, usually an expensive hobby. And I did that for years, I admit, back my health coaching days, it was an
Do you
expensive
think
hobby.
when someone, it just stays in that hobby zone, is that a sign that it's a hobby, it's not a passion? Or is it a sign of the fear that they don't think they can carry it through?
There's both. Usually when they have that side hustle, they want that, but they might not have dialed it in completely to have it be the true passion. They know they want to go that way, but they haven't fine-tuned it, we'll say. And there's also the piece about being really afraid to step away from the regular paycheck, doing something new, because if they've dabbled in it, they realize it's not quite as easy as some people make it out to be. If you've got a sales background, it's kind of easy to a certain degree, because that's the hardest piece I find when you've come from a corporate environment, to have to sell and run a business on your own, that selling piece, to do your own marketing and your own client attraction, no matter what, whatever service you're doing, right?
It is.
That's the hardest piece.
Because you have to promote yourselves, and that's
self-promotion is so hard. There's a visibility, there's a self-worth, the money worth, there's all those elements that come in.
And do you think for people, it's really, you've been thinking about doing this, you've always wanted to do it? I know for me, there's always parts that I'm really trying to say that I don't hate, because I don't hate anything, and I know it's going to make it worse for me. There are parts I don't enjoy of being an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. And everyone has that.
And it's going to be your weakness, whatever it is. Like some people would, for me, it's the technology part, or all the parts.
The big one.
You're like, I just want to coach and I want to talk to people and I want to help people. But then there's all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And especially for somebody starting out now, here's a question. I'm glad you're starting out now. It's 2022. You've been out of it for a bit. The social media, digital world it's no longer go print up some flyers.
No.
You can't just go to Vistaprint and make some pens.
No.
So
it's a whole different world. And even, I've been listening to a lot of forecasting for 2022 by sort of industry leaders and stuff like that recently. I was on one yesterday, and, it's gone are the days of you need like 7 or 8 touches of being able to see somebody. So that would be, in the old days, that would be a TV commercial. If you saw it 5 or 6 times, you'd want that product, sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Now, because of the way social media is and because it's so noisy, it's like 25 to 30 times now that someone has to have a touch point with you, whether it be you doing a Facebook Live, you're answering questions, you're sending newsletters, you're promoting in whatever manner it is. It takes that many times. Both my coaching business is partly online, but also partly offline. Referrals is the best way to do things if you can. I built out a whole business based on referrals at one point.
Yeah.
I never marketed at all.
And I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, go ahead. No.
I would say, and that's a sign that I would say you found your passion and you're really good at it, because if you enjoy it, it doesn't feel like work. Your clients feel that.
Yeah.
And that's even one of the vision behind this show is, I believe, by setting the right intention, I get the most incredible speakers with the best hearts that are out for service. And I just think if I can connect them to the right person hearing, and they can hear you. It's not just an ad. It's not, they could be like, you know what?
There's genuine intention there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to look up her website and I want to check out the hypno or the rapid transformational or you're hitting keys where they're like, it's kind of all of it. I'm not confident. I want to start a business.
There's a lot in that little bundle right there. And that's the world that I work in.
So, I mean, but if that's them, that I would be like, that's not me.
Yeah.
I can do, but I'm not a confidence coach, and I'm
Mhm.
not rapid trans. I can't hypnotize you. We
No.
can try it, but I'll light a candle and swing
Interesting,
it back to us.
yeah.
But so I want to say, this is what she does, and if this is what you're
Yeah.
looking for, how can they, so then I would ask how they would find you. Like, we're going to list all your information, of course.
Yeah. And I'm
But
really easy to find. It's mariaconde.com. I've kept life simple. And I believe in simple life.
yeah,
I really do.
I
A simple, extraordinary life is that, that's where it's at. No more busyness. It's enjoying your life.
do you think that saying that makes me think, because I'm really trying to work on that. I have to, things get really big in my head, and then I have to
Yeah.
step back and go, just keep it simple.
It's a work in progress, even for me.
And then do you think though that, because that stops us when things get so big, we don't have the confidence to match this vision, where if you keep it simple, what would be to give us a simple step to maybe apply for that promotion,
Yeah.
or a simple step to even, you know what, I just thought of this for women in who I work with,
Yeah.
make an offer on buying a house by yourself. Like, you had
Yeah.
a baby on your own. For a lot of people, owning a house, being a homeowner.
And when I bought my house in Vancouver, which is the most expensive place, I had to buy a condo, expensive city, and it was actually, I think, one of the most expensive cities in the world.
Really?
And yeah,
I haven't heard.
yeah, and it was a big deal, and it took every ounce out of me. Best investment ever.
Yeah, but it's
But
scary.
it was scary when I say it now, many years later. I doubled my money on that piece of property, but when I closed on it, I had like minus 30 cents in my bank account.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, I got to feed my child. Have I got enough groceries to get through the payday? But then, once I got past that initial moment, because I put all in, and I went into probably a little bit bigger than what was my vision, but this beautiful space came available. I said, I'm going to make this work. And there is, I said, I'm quite determined, and I'm, resilient, we'll call it. I push through, right? I make things work. That's me. But, taking that little leap into the real estate market is huge, and do whatever you can. I chose to go a little bit bigger, and but it paid off. I was okay. But I knew I'd be okay. So I could kind of see that path, right?
It was educated.
I was an educated big dive.
Yeah. But I just want to clarify that you didn't just take it. You didn't just go to Vegas and put it all on the table.
No,
it was educated.
No,
yeah.
This is a real estate market where I doubled my money in 5 years.
Wow.
On a really expensive piece of property. So, and I had invested prior years when I was married, but this was on my own now. And, and I thought too, when I had a child, I was like, how am I ever going to be able to afford a place? But every year I put just a little bit away. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, this is a big stretch, but I'm going to figure it out. Mortgage is about my rent, maybe a bit more, you kind of looked at that. It's like, okay, I'll take the leap.
But it was that mindset.
Yeah.
Because anyone
believing
listening,
I could do it.
Yes. Anyone listening, I would challenge and have you back it up, because I don't know if this, but you could, I want them to hear your mindset.
Yes.
Through
you
that
have to
story.
Believe in yourself is the biggest thing for anything.
Right. No, and I mean, you could do that with your grocery store budget.
Yes.
You could challenge yourself that I'm going to make more use of this money that I've allocated for the grocery store.
We had that discussion this morning. My daughter needs braces. I said, we're gonna change things around here a little bit, right? Because I want to pay cash for them, and I want to just do this, right? And this is what it means.
But there's the idea of like, she's getting braces. Yeah. That's a non-negotiable. Yeah. And we'll figure out. And so for anyone, it's the mindset of changing it from I can't, it won't, it will never happen, to how can I do this?
And you know what? It is just baby steps. Our brain has to get used to that new whatever it is we're doing. Yeah. Whether it's, if you just try and cut your budget in half all of a sudden one day,
No.
Your brain's going to say, I don't like this, right? But if you just gradually work on piece by piece, I love using baby steps for, my program. We used to be Leap to Freedom. We used to call it baby leaps. So instead of
Love
taking
that.
big leaps, you take these small little ones to actually get yourself there, because that builds confidence in itself. It's like, okay, I can manage on a little bit less this month, and I can do a little bit more next month. And even when I used to get people to save, I'd say save $5 a week. And then, in 3 weeks, make it $10 a week. And then, maybe next month you make it $20 a week. You know what I mean? Like you have to build the muscle. You don't go to the gym and lift 300 pounds
No.
the first day, right? Like you just don't do it, right? Our brain's no different.
That's what I really try to tell people, that your brain is a muscle that takes constant reinforcement, constant work, constant building up. I love baby leaps.
Yeah.
I'm even thinking if somebody is like, I want to start to take care of myself.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you just start with whatever baby leap that would be.
Drinking more water, maybe getting some more rest,
Yeah, you don't have to say, I'm getting a fitness coach, I'm changing everything I eat, I'm changing my whole life, because it won't stick.
It's better to not do that, actually.
Right.
It's one habit at a time. Go a couple weeks on that, add another one in, and then gradually build on those. But if you try and do everything, that's why people, on January 1 set all these intentions, and January 10th or 14th, so, they're done, right? It's like they're back to living the life they had before. And they've made zero change because they tried to do too much. But if somebody just tries to do one thing consistently, they're going to be way more successful.
And change the work.
And same in business too.
And what's that? Same in business?
Yeah, when you're starting out a business, do one thing.
Right.
And I struggle with that. That is my coaches, I drive them crazy. Because I want to do this and I want to do this and I got this program.
No, it's hard. And the world's coming at you and you're like, oh, now I got to add this and the reels and
yeah.
But,
one social media platform, focus on it.
Yep.
Wherever you're going to do the most, wherever your clients are, do it and just show up and just work on one. Because if you try and do like 9 of them, you're not going to be successful.
No, you're a jack of all trades, master of none. Yeah. But what about when you do know this is my weakness. I do not enjoy this. I'm not, even if it's a physical thing, if people go to a gym, they keep building their muscle they like, and they avoid the area they don't want to work on.
I had one of those recently.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all do it, but so what would you recommend to really get real with that resistance and find a solution? And the solution might not be you. Like it might be
it could be
hiring it out. And like, I would rather find extra money to pay someone to do that task.
Yes. And you know what? That is one of the things I talk about in business a lot too, is really lean into your zone of genius and hire out the rest if you can. Because that rest can take you down pretty easily.
Right.
It's good to know all of those things to a certain degree, because you're going to need to lead people. And we get back to that leadership piece again, right?
Right.
And you're going to have to make sure that if you hire a copywriter, they have to know intimately what your agenda is. You don't have to be the copywriter, but you're going to have to articulate it really clearly for someone else to internalize that almost, right?
Right.
And even in your house, no different. Export is, or bring in service, whatever it is, as much as you can, whenever you can.
Yep. And that's where I think if people just get honest and put the ego aside.
Yeah.
And just think baby leaps.
Yeah.
Even if it's, sometimes we have to give up things we love. Like someone might say, I love grocery shopping, but a baby leap is I'm going to order online and just pick it up so I get that window of time.
Yeah. Cleaning house is another one I think about. When I was in my corporate world, that was one of the businesses I built, is I had a cleaning and concierge company. And I had a team of cleaners that would clean in people's homes. And we did a lot of people that were executive level. We did their laundry, we'd taken their deliveries and all kinds of stuff, because they were busy doing life and their business. And, for myself, I moved to a new city a couple of years ago, right at the start of COVID. So we couldn't actually bring in cleaners at that time. And for me, it's like, I couldn't even hire somebody because I was like, but I own a company. It's just weird to hire somebody to do that. So I had to give up having this immaculate house all the time, you know, and I'm not going to stop my business to go make sure that my house is sparkling all the time. It doesn't matter that much to me. I like it when it's clean.
Yeah.
But it's not, because people, that's a really amazing way people deflect. And yeah.
Do it.
And how many times do you actually find yourself, you know, top to bottom of your house because you're supposed to be doing something else in your business that you be doing,
When
right?
it's something I don't want to do, it's amazing how creative my mind can be to get me out of this house.
Totally. And that's
for any reason.
That's what the mind does. It's going into a zone. It doesn't feel comfortable. It doesn't have confidence. It's uncomfortable. It's all that.
So I'm like, I'm out of here.
You're out of here. And that's what the brain does.
Yeah.
It actually sabotages because it wants to get you back to comfort. And if cleaning your house is comfort zone for you, so be it. You know, it's the first closest thing it can come up with, right? And nowadays, you know, we can't get out the last couple of years, so cleaning your house is about it, right?
But I think the awareness, it's getting yourself to that awareness of saying, these things aren't real. I really don't have this desperate need to go get an iced coffee. I'll survive. I'm avoiding doing this project. And once I'm aware of that, I might say, I have to tackle this project, but I need to go to the coffee shop with my project so I'm not staring at all my distractions.
Yeah.
That
and it's finding the right environment for yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
So, well, I have enjoyed this, and baby leaps, I think it's always so interesting to hear a powerful woman who to even choose to have a child on your own, to get through it all, to build multiple businesses, to take the risk, but we don't often hear, she took that risk and had 30 cents in the bank.
Yeah.
Like educated risk. Educated, but you built yourself, you built the businesses.
Yeah.
And then to get the inside scoop of like, it's baby leaps.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone continually. That's where the RTT helps a lot. I wish I had it like 5 or 6 years ago because it gets you there faster.
The RTT, the rapid transformation therapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it actually, you're just doing things that you're not deflecting anymore. It just happens.
Yep. And then now with online and people being more comfortable, it's just the norm to do everything online.
Yeah.
So people from all around the world can come to you.
I work with one of my last clients was in India. It was amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool.
Well, do you have any last word of confidence, coaching, RTT, anything you could, even a challenge to give anyone listening?
You know, the biggest thing is to believe in yourself, no matter what it is that you want to start, whether it's going for the promotion, buying a place on your own, just believe in yourself. When you have belief in yourself, you can do anything, right? You are enough just as you are. And, you know, I always think New Year's are a great time to take on some new habits. So think about one thing that's going to actually support you either physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever it is, and just work on that one thing. Maybe it's meditating 10 minutes a day, but just do one, you know?
Yep. And it's January 14th for when people are listening. So in case this comes out in a month or so, but just to know it's the beginning of the year.
Yeah. And can start anytime.
Yeah. Anytime. Yeah. But it's a great time though to think of, I like the word intention over resolution.
I use intentions all the time versus goals, resolutions, anything.
Yeah. So like, it's a great time, the beginning of the year, to set an intention for the year ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Maria, thank you so much. We are lucky to have had your time today. And I am going to look up the 4 stages of confidence. I'm like, I don't think I knew.
It's confidently, I can't say it off the top of my head. I usually have to have them down because I get them all backwards if I don't say them right.
But I think it'd be, like the 6 stages of grief. Like once you see it, you're like, oh, the 4 stages of confidence. You're like, it's baby leaps. I can't. just jump to the confidence.
You have to walk through the path, right? You have to.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, and good luck with those braces to your daughter. That's entering a new venture on her part, and we hope to see you again.
Thank you.